you're looking for a way to organize your kid's toy room or bedroom, well, today's project is for you. In this video, I'll be making 2 Montessori-style shelves that can be used in a kid's bedroom or toy room. They're low shelves so the kids can reach everything, and they can be made out of a single sheet of plywood, and this project can easily be done in a day or a weekend. So let's get started. I'll be making both of these shelves out of a single sheet of 1/2-inch Baltic birch plywood. This is a 4x8 sheet, and I'm going to be breaking it down using my track saw and TSO parallel guides. Breaking this sheet down can be done in many ways, including a circular saw with a straight edge guide, a table saw. I happen to have a track saw, so I'm going to go ahead and use that, but use whatever you have available to you. To start with, I need to take off the factory edge, make sure I have a nice straight edge to work from, and from there I'll attach my parallel guides to the track, and I'll rip 4 10-inch sections off of this sheet, which is the width of each shelf, and then I can cross cut those into the lengths that I need. Okay, now with a clean edge cut, I'm going to flip my track around and I'll attach the parallel guides. These parallel guides will allow me to reference off this clean edge and cut repeatable parallel cuts, the exact width that I need. In this case, I want 10-inch rips, so I'll set the flip stop to 10 inches, and I drop the flip stops down, reference both flip stops against this clean edge, and I can make my cut, and that'll give me a perfectly parallel 10-inch piece, the full length of the sheet. So with the guides on now, I go ahead and make this cut, then I can continue ripping off the next 3, so I'll have 4 that are 10 inches wide and the full length of the plywood, and from there I can break those down into the lengths that I need for both shelves. So what I really like about this TSO setup along with the track saw is you can make parallel cuts as well as square cuts. I'll show you how that works here. I reference this guide rail square off of that clean edge, and that allows me to cut a perpendicular end off of this reference face. I have previously laid out my cut list in SketchUp to ensure that I could get all the parts out of a single sheet of plywood. So now I can start cutting everything to length according to that list. Okay, so to make these cross cuts, I've got my flip stop set, my guide rail square referenced against the workpiece. Okay, next I'm going to cut my 24-inch pieces. I start by squaring up one end, and then I'll use my flip stop to set the length. Okay, that does it for the 24-inch pieces. Now the remainder of my stock, I need to cut down into the 31 3/8, I think it was, lengths that'll make up the shelves. So I'm going to mark this piece right here because this corner is square, and I need to square up ends on the others, and then I'll use the table saw to cross cut those to length. I have my saw set up with the cross cut sled using my rip fence as the stop with a spacer block. Remove the stop, that way my piece doesn't bind against the fence when I slide it through. And then I can make all 6 cuts. So I've got one end squared on each piece of this from when I was using the track saw. So I'll use that square end first, make my cut, and cut all 6 of these. All right, with all my parts cut, I'm ready to do a little bit of routing just to do some edge treatments before I sand everything. I'm going to start using this 1-inch radius corner jig and round off the top corner. That'll be the top front corner of each of the vertical sides. Just make that nice and soft corners. To do that, it sets right on top of your workpiece. You don't have to clamp or anything, you just hold it in place, and then using a pattern bit, you can round that off real quick. So I'll do that on the 4 sides, and then I'll round over all the corners just to make those nice and soft as well. And then I'll give the faces a quick sanding, and we'll apply a couple of light coats of wiping varnish. I will be finishing these shelves with 2 light coats of Minwax wipe-on polyurethane. I'll apply 1 coat, let it dry, give it a light sanding with 220 grit sandpaper, and then apply a 2nd coat. Now that everything is finished, I'm ready to cut the dados for the joinery. I got my dado stack set up and all dialed in. I'm going to use a stop block to cut consistent dados on these side pieces so they're all at the same height. First will be the bottom dado, and that's 1.5 inches to the bottom of the dado from the bottom edge of this shelf. All right, the last dados to cut here are one dado in each of the top two shelves, and that will house the middle divider. All right, I'm ready to glue these shelves up. I've got 2 coats of polyurethane on, and that's plenty for these shelves. I'm going to be using epoxy to glue these up since I pre-finished them. That'll stick better to the pre-finished surface than a traditional PVA wood glue would. The glue up is the same process as any other. Apply glue to the joints and add clamping pressure until the glue cures. I used corner clamps to hold everything square until as I was saying, the corner clamps helped keep the shelves square until I could get clamps on to secure everything. One last check and this project is done. This shelf design has worked really well for us, and it has been great to have a place to put all the kid toys and books. I hope you enjoyed the build and are able to take inspiration from the design and watching how I built them. Until next time, have a great day, and thank you for watching another Custom Cuts by Chris woodworking build.